What do you think?
I think we're in play. The Klitschko piece is obviously the complicated electron here, especially the announcement of him as deputy prime minister. And you've seen some of my notes on the troubles in the marriage right now, so we're trying to get a read really fast on where he is on this stuff. But I think your argument to him, which you'll need to make, I think that's the next phone call we want to set up, is exactly the one you made to Yachts. And I'm glad you sort of put him on the spot on where he fits in this scenario. And I'm very glad he said what he said in response.
Good. So I don't think Klitsch should go into the government. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you think, what, in terms of him not going into the government, just let him sort of stay out and do his political homework and stuff. I'm just thinking in terms of sort of the process moving ahead, we want to keep the moderate Democrats together. The problem is going to be Tannenbaum and his guys. And, you know, I'm sure that's part of what Yanukovych is calculating on all of this.
I think Yachts is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing experience. He's the guy, you know, what he needs is Klitsch and Tannenbaum on the outside. He needs to be talking to them 4 times a week, you know. I just think Klitsch going in, he's going to be at that level working for Yatsenyuk. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Okay, good. Well, do you want us to try to set up a call with him as the next step?
My understanding from that call, but you tell me, was that the big three were going into their own meeting, and that Yachts was going to offer in that context a three-way, you know, the 3+1 conversation or 3+2 with you. Is that not how you understood it?
No, I mean, that's what he proposed, but I think just knowing the dynamic that's been with them where Klitschko has been the top dog, he's going to take a while to show up for whatever meeting they've got, and he's probably talking to his guys at this point. So I think you reaching out directly to him helps with the personality management among the three, and it gives you also a chance to move fast on all this stuff and put us behind it before they all sit down and he explains why he doesn't like it.
Okay, good. I'm happy. Why don't you reach out to him and see if he wants to talk before or after?
Okay, will do. Thanks.
Okay, I've now written, one more wrinkle for you, Jeff.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I told you this or if I only told Washington this, that when I talked to Jeff Feltman this morning, he had a new name for the UN guy, Robert Seri. Did I write you that this morning?
Yeah, okay. I saw that.
He's now gotten both Seri and Ban Ki-moon to agree that Seri could come in Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
So that would be great, I think, to help glue this thing and have the UN help glue it. And, you know, fuck the EU.
No, exactly. And I think we've got to do something to make it stick together, because you can be pretty sure that if it does start to gain altitude, the Russians will be working behind the scenes to try to torpedo it. And again, the fact that this is out there right now, I'm still trying to figure out in my mind why Yanukovych did that. But in the meantime, there's a Party of Regions faction meeting going on right now, and I'm sure there's a lively argument going on in that group at this point. But anyway, we could land jelly side up on this one if we move fast. So let me work on Klitschko, and if you can just keep, I think we want to try to get somebody with an international personality to come out here and help to midwife this thing. And then the other issue is some kind of outreach to Yanukovych, but we probably regroup on that tomorrow as we see how things start to fall into place.
So on that piece, Jeff, when I wrote the note, Sullivan's come back to me, VFR, saying you need Biden, and I said probably tomorrow for an attaboy and to get the deets to stick. So okay. Biden's willing.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thanks.
And, you know, fuck the EU.
With regard to this, I would like to say that the Chancellor, Angela Merkel, considers these remarks as absolutely unacceptable.
And, you know, fuck the EU.
I'm obviously not going to comment on private diplomatic conversations, other than to say it was pretty impressive tradecraft. The audio was extremely clear.
And, you know, fuck the EU.
What I can say is that intercepted private conversations is not part of the toolbox that we use in our efforts to assist Ukraine.
And, you know, fuck the EU.
Does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
Ukraine has biological research facilities, which, in fact, we are now quite concerned Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of. So we are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach.
I'm sure you're aware that the Russian propaganda groups are already putting out there all kinds of information about how they've uncovered a plot by the Ukrainians to release biological weapons in the country and with NATO's coordination. If there's a biological or chemical weapon incident or attack inside of Ukraine, is there any doubt in your mind that 100% it would be the Russians that would be behind it?
There is no doubt in my mind, Senator, and it is classic Russian technique to blame on the other guy what they're planning to do themselves.
So you were President Zelensky's press secretary.
Yes, first of all, thank you for having me. And I never expected to see myself here talking about my former boss, Volodymyr Zelensky. I used to work for him for 2 years, since 2019 till 2021.
How did you wind up working for him?
Volodymyr Zelensky announced the job via Facebook. And everybody started applying. And I didn't want to apply first because I thought he would take someone, nepotically.
Yeah.
But there was an open application, and I went through 4,000 of applicants. It's not a joke. And then actually I need to prove myself that I can do a job and that he can trust me. But we found the common ground. And I think I was very faithful towards him,
Yes.
And I supported him, and I supported him in 2022 when Russia made its large-scale invasion. As millions of Ukrainians, I was grateful that he stayed in the country.
Yes.
That's why it's so strange and desperate for me to be here and to talk who he really is. I don't have personal vendetta, but I believe that he is one of the biggest obstacles towards peace today. So I wanted to tell the people who he is.
Who is he?
First of all, he's not a person whom you see on camera. He's a very different person. He changes masks all the time. He is emotionally uncontrollable.
Emotionally uncontrollable.
Yeah, he doesn't control his emotions. He's often hysterical, and he thinks that every person is disposable. He doesn't have empathy that he plays. He's absolutely insanely great actor, and that brought us a lot of support in 2022. But his acting doesn't have any substance, and everything that he is saying, it's so detached from the reality.
Yes.
And majority of the things that he's saying, it's either manipulation, or it's a fact that is being taken from the context, or it's pure lies. And millions of people still believe that supporting Zelensky means supporting Ukraine. But
Yes.
today it's different. And Tucker, I would like to say, I'm not here to justify Russian invasion. I'm not
Right.
here to justify Putin. What Russian army is doing in Ukraine equals crimes against humanity.
Yes.
But this war is not black and white anymore. It's dark and even darker. We just see Putin as an evil, but Zelensky is also an evil. He's just a hidden one. He plays such a teddy bear, on camera. But then when the light goes off, he's a grizzly bear and he destroys the people. It's almost surreal to recollect that almost every Western leader and Western delegations that were coming to Ukraine before the war, they treated Zelensky as a political novice. They saw he was low educated, unqualified, and low depth. But then overnight, he just turned into this great face of democracy.
Yes.
But it feels like the West created the myth, fell into it, and, that the West keeps ignoring the fact that beneath that Zelensky's rhetoric, heroic rhetoric, he keeps accumulating power. And I'm not afraid to say he keeps hollowing the very same people he claims to save. It's pretty strong to say, I know that. But I believe that, people need to understand that if you want to support Ukraine, the only way to support Ukraine today is to push for the peace deal. This is the only way that Ukraine can survive, because I believe we are on the verge of extinction. Somebody is talking about 2-3 years of war anymore. It just doesn't come up with numbers, with demography, with anything, with all those suffering that's happening in the country.
Tell me, no, thank you. Thank you for saying that. I agree. I'm not Ukrainian, but I don't understand the point of this. I mean, I have many questions about how and why it started, but what's beyond question is Ukraine as a nation is being eliminated. That's obvious to me. Biggest country in Europe, so it's a big deal. Since you mentioned numbers, how many people live in Ukraine? So when you started working for Zelensky, you worked for the government of Ukraine in 2019. How many Ukrainians were there in Ukraine?
So officially, Ukraine is the country of 42 million people. But we had the last census, I think, in 2000 or 2001, and we did not manage to organize another one. So when I was working for the government, government officials, including Zelensky, were telling the numbers that they believed there are 37 millions of Ukrainians in the country. Now, with around 10 plus million of Ukrainians turning into refugees, going to the West, some stay in occupation, Eastern countries, and even some in Russia, perhaps there are around 25 million Ukrainians in the country. And the worst thing is that 11 million of them are retired people. And these retired people live for the pensions from $75 to $180 to $200 per month. And Ukraine is not that super cheap country where you can actually survive for this money. Just 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, there was a terrible story when one movie director of Ukraine, who was a retired person, died at his home, and his neighbor wrote that he died from hunger and cold. There were these severe temperatures in Ukraine, and he didn't have anyone to help him. I just wonder if ever we will know the statistics, how many people died from this cold and from having no opportunities to survive.
So you're saying that the Ukraine right now has maybe 15 million, maybe fewer working people actually who are working in the entire country.
Well, you don't count children. Children are not working, right? So I don't know how many children under 18 are there. But perhaps if we have around 10 million of working people, that would be fine.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
How many have died in the war, do you know?
The numbers are very different, and it's very difficult to count. Right now, the official UN verified statistics is around 15,000 of civilians. The numbers of those who turned into military are not known. So it's very hard to know. But only in Mariupol, it is known that there are graves for around 20,000 of Ukrainians. So I guess there are at least hundreds of thousands of those who died, and we will just never know the numbers. I'm sorry, it's so painful to talk about.
It's absolutely awful. But I'm wondering why, my government, which has funded a lot of this war, why we can't get a straight answer from the U.S. government, from the Ukrainian government, the Russian government. I mean, no one seems to have an interest in finding out the real number of dead.
Yes. Well, it's very difficult to do, because how do you do this in occupation, right? There is no any relation with that side that would allow to learn this information. And the other side,
yes,
which is Russian side, obviously is interested in hiding the numbers, right?
Yes.
I don't believe in verified numbers. And obviously, look, many people who are military now, they used to be just ordinary civilians, right? Engineers, IT guys, journalists working their everyday life, and then they turned into military. So, of course, they are soldiers, but they are also people, right? And they are dying. And there are a lot of these things I've heard from the front lines when a person was killed and the body is brought and he has a bullet in his head, and the government officials, local officials just don't want to put him as a dead from the front line. So they say he died from a heart attack, for instance. Yeah, it's war. And I think it was happening in every war.
Yes.
It's just I think we will never know the true number, but there are so many people who are suffering there. And, I told you this terrible story about retired people and that they live for such absolutely outrageously low pensions. Just when I talk about Zelensky, I'm an insider. I talk to so many people who used to work for him, or even those people who work for him. And to be clear, I believe that he stands behind many schemes of money laundering. And one of the stories is that I have a friend who was shortlisted for the position of the Ministry of Social Policies during the large-scale invasion. And he was called, and he said that he was one of 5 candidates. And he would be interviewed by Zelensky and Mr. Yermak, then Chief of Staff of President Zelensky. And he was told that during the interview, he would need to come up with the schemes of money laundering so that they are financed from the Ministry of Social Policy. And Ministry of Social Policy is the ministry that is responsible for pensions. So when we're talking about those poor pensioners, and knowing the fact that Zelensky himself approves the schemes of money laundering, is he guilty? I want your audience to respond to that, okay? Do you understand the desperation of mine?